Hey, there's another couple of episodes of What's New Scooby-Doo that I've wanted to look at and talk about for a while, and I'm in the mood, so we're doing one of them today, and probably that other one real soon. The early episodes of this show were really memorable, and as someone who was like 6 when this episode aired, What's New never felt like a different iteration. It just felt like Scooby. By the time I was old enough to be watching, there was never-ending new content of the franchise up until recently that kept it feeling fresh anyway. So the volume DVDs of the show that I would get as they came out, which was my only way of watching the show then, didn't really feel like new content. I was also experiencing the classic episodes that same way, rather than on TV, so new episodes of this felt like getting to watch any other Scooby series. It blended in beautifully, and I'd never have known different. This episode was on the second volume, and the Safari So Goody theme cover was probably the least interesting of them to me back then, but it had some good episodes, like the Haunted Mystery Machine one I covered before. The one I loved most as a kid, however, is what we're looking at today. This one will also be pretty notable as the only franchise entry written by Dwayne McDuffie. If you don't know him somehow, he was a co-founder of the comic company Milestone Media. He created the DC character and TV series Static Shock, wrote and produced over on Justice League and its sequel Unlimited for DC, as well as for Everything Ben 10, and also wrote 3 of the DC DTV movies. My favorite is probably Justice League Doom, which he finished writing right before he tragically passed away in 2011. That film has always been a favorite to rewatch for me, like a comfort since it released in 2012, and the Blu-ray has a wonderful tribute documentary about him. Dwayne was an iconic and important visionary, which cannot be overstated, and he was also a lover of Scooby like all of us. Sadly, he only got to work with the gang on one case, but it's a pretty good one I think. Today we're looking at Season 1, Episode 7, Roller Coaster Ride. Originally aired November 9th, 2002. This one did also get turned into a novel by Scholastic for their junior chapter book series in 2004, like the Mystery Machine episode, even featuring the series branding. And like their High-Tech House of Horrors episode I talked about in that same earlier video, Pamela Adlon also guest stars as 2 characters here as well. Again, you probably know her best as Bobby Hill from King of the Hill, icon that he is. Probably also her Tinkerbell character, Spinelli in Recess, and if not for her million voice roles, maybe for being the mother of Odessa. Anyway, let's find out if this thrill ride park is really so thrilling. We open up at the park, which does sort of look fun, where we see these 4 kids get on the carousel ride. One of them is nervous, while the other tells them to just relax. The boat takes them out for a good time, but behind them, this green gremlin rides up to follow. He slashes the cable with his claws, disconnecting their glider and sending them spinning through the air. The ghoul just looks back and laughs as he speeds off, and already he's one of the most dangerous villains of the show. Any rides at a thrill ride park already feel so dangerous, especially if you're like me and end up in rabbit holes on YouTube or TikTok about accidents on them. Not only could these 4 kids spin out of control and hit something, they could also just crash in the water and perish. Drown even. So many things could actually be dangerously fatal here, and it honestly just gets worse as we go. Anyway, we see what appears to be a roller coaster, as we zoom out and see it's actually just the boys playing a game in the back of the van. Fred informs us that it's Shaggy and this game that they have to thank for winning them free tickets to the thrill ride park we just saw.
Guess the thrill of riding roller coasters is a guy thing.
Tossing your cookies and calling it fun sure sounds like a guy thing.
Tossing your cookies is crazy. Shaggy is most excited about meeting Chris and Terry, informing Velma that they're the designers of the entire park.
There's a couple of guys who know how to make a scary ride.
Joy. Later we can all go get measles shots.
They arrive at the park and find these 2 women waiting to welcome them. Love how the design of our resident goth here is basically the 2000s animated goth girl stereotype design personified. From her, we find out it was a design your own roller coaster contest that Shaggy won. The other woman informing them that they're currently building his design and he can come take a look. He first wants to know when they can meet Chris and Terry, however. Turns out, goth girl is Chris, and the other is her sister Terry. They are, in fact, not dudes.
But you design roller coasters.
That's cool.
Love Fred's immediate disillusionment, and Daphne's feminism kicking in against it. Terry gives them free passes to everything, especially the food court, where the boys stop first. After stocking up, Terry asks about Shaggy's idea for a roller coaster and all-you-can-eat buffet. We see it's called all-you-can-hurl with vomit all over, super nasty, and Terry adds it's as cool as anything her sister has designed, getting an angry look from Chris. Terry adds that Chris is really the one who designs it all, while she figures out how to build it, make it safe, and promote it. Meanwhile, at the Sky Ride, the others see this kid denied entry for being too short. Velma then notices the park is pretty empty for what's supposed to be a super popular destination. The three suit up for the ride, and the giant fan under them turns on, propelling them into the sky. They have a pretty good time, and providing it's safe, this does seem like a fun ride to try out. Unfortunately, safety is not the priority of that green gremlin as it returns, scaring off the guy at the control center as it damages it. The trio inside realize the floor has opened as a result, exposing the fan that started to slow down, and they start falling toward it. They begin moving in incredibly slow motion. I don't know if the fan is just still fast enough to keep them just above it or what, but it's hard to understand or believe, and anyway, Daff tosses her belt in to get it to stop. They all painfully fall down, but at least Fred breaks the fall for the girls, though it doesn't stop Daphne from seemingly losing her neck here. Again, easily the most dangerous villain of the show, probably. This guy, Sam the safety engineer, jumps in to help and says he can't believe it happened again, catching Velma's attention, as he adds a notice of closure for the ride. He says it was first that parasol ride, then the cliff diving simulator, and now this incident. He then mentions the gremlin of a ghost that's been causing it, which people have started calling the roller coaster. As Velma looks at the damage, however, she declares it's not a ghost, finding actual fur left behind. Sam walks off grumbling about how he never liked these new modern extreme rides anyway, saying they're too dangerous and high-tech, and old classics were better. Fred declares it a mystery and has them split up, Velma being sent to question the sisters, while Daphne takes Fred to go inspect more of the rides, having been fully converted into a junkie after her prior skepticism.
Strange things have been happening here. If you're not careful, the next ride could be your last.
The music sting is a little dramatic. The boys elsewhere realize the sisters ditched them, and Shaggy considers riding in this thing, which Scooby is a little nervous about.
What do you mean I'm too short? How tall do you have to be to stand in a ball?
Sorry, kid.
Not as sorry as you're gonna be!
Shaggy has to drag Scoob over and inside, but as they start moving, the roller coaster appears. Scoob tries to warn Shaggy, who just writes it off as more of the same. As the ghost starts to cut the wires, the ride swings up and sends the boys flying as it normally would, but the wire snaps, so they continue flying higher.
Now you can own 4 all-new adventures from the hit TV show What's New, Scooby-Doo? Safari So Goody! With new monsters, new villains, same old chickens. You can own What's New, Scooby-Doo Tuesday on DVD and video.
Right, we're back to the boys flying to their potential doom. Again, this would be insanely dangerous, and another severe action that makes this villain so much worse. Between that fan being able to be exposed and now this, where are the actual safety regulations? Thankfully, the boys just bounce all over safely, but this would not be a happy ending in real life. This would be really, really bad. Velma knocks on the door to the office of the sisters, but finds it empty, and sees a hairbrush with green hair stuck in it. Terry comes in as she hides the brush, and tells her about what happened to them. As Terry confirms she knows about the ghost, Chris comes in trying to keep out reporter Harry Harrison, here reporting for ThisRideStinks.com. He sticks the camera in her face asking if the place is haunted, so she knocks it away and walks off as he asks about the accidents. Terry apologizes, and Chris asks how they know he's not behind it, since exposing a scandalous haunted park would get his website big traffic. The boys meanwhile roll right by, trying to stop before they roll off a cliff. Luckily, the power of 2 Scooby Snacks is all they need to power Scooby. Fred and Daff run up to see the damage, but Daphne gets distracted by the fastest roller coaster in the world and turns into a fiend.
Wasting time! Must ride coaster!
Also, little dude got denied for being too short again.
I'll get even. You'll see! You'll all see!
While the others get on the coaster, Velma runs up trying to warn them it might be tampered with. Fred says they're counting on it though, hoping to catch the ghost. Against her wishes really, she gets locked inside with them, and this thing looks way scary. They start their launch, Daphne manically chanting, and the roller coaster appears on cue to loosen a bolt. They see it as they reach this area, and the tracks start coming apart, the coaster zooming off. It fades to a commercial, and listen, I've seen Final Destination 3. I know how this turns out. When we fade back in, this should be a horrible, gruesome nightmare. Won't be, but another addition to why this villain is one of the most dangerous, because realistically, this should have done them in. Yeah, we fade in, they fly a bit, and then safely bounce on the water, simply jumping out and swimming back. The sisters show up to see what happened, along with Harry filming another update, Daphne remembering she saw him earlier in line for the Sky Ride. Velma then finds a clue, a wrench the ghost used on a bolt.
What kind of ghost uses a wrench?
Like one that has a screw loose. Get it, Scoob?
Yeah.
Chris grabs it and says it's hers, which obviously makes her the new top suspect, including to her own sister. Velma, however, also notices that Short Kid is suspiciously watching them as well. She leads them all back to the office for answers, starting with the green fur she found. Daphne confirms it's artificial, which proves the ghost is just someone in a costume, not a real ghost or gremlin or whatever. Velma just needs to see one more thing, asking Chris where the broken rides are fixed. They head over there, finding Sam fixing up one of the old and less dangerous rides he loves so much. In a tone very similar to a pup named Scooby-Doo, Fred jumps to accusing him of doing this because he hates new rides, and it would be easy for him to sabotage them. But Velma has to let him down easy, as this is not our guy. She explains the rides weren't really sabotaged, just gimmicked to look that way. Sam confirming they looked broken but were completely safe when he went to fix them. Were they though? Were they? This seems to confirm Velma's theory. They just have to catch the ghost, and Fred has a plan. The boys walk out as bait, loudly saying they know who the ghost is and just have to call the cops now, doing it where every single suspect can hear them for sure. On cue as always, the ghost appears behind them and we get our chase song Saying Goodbye, performed by the Muffs back in 1993. As a kid, I never really considered some of these songs were pre-existing and not written for the show. As such, I don't want to invite copyright issues from playing it, but I really like the song and think it fits the vibe of the show's late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic. The sequence is pretty long, but fun. The ghost eventually skating out of control until it falls and crashes into this tent. He falls out with a ton of stuffed animals, all of which big Hanna-Barbera fans should recognize. See if you can spot them all. Some of the cameos include Peter Potamus, Yogi Cindy and Boo Boo Bear, Snorky the Elephant, Top Cat, Adam Ant, Fred Flintstone, Snugglepuss, Squiddly Diddly, and my old pal Huckleberry Hound. You know I love that old boy, got that complete series set over here. The gang confront the ghost with everything they have, like losing that wrench and that fur they found that wasn't fur but a green wig. Fred reaches to unmask the gremlin expecting Chris, and revealing Terry? Now everyone is mega confused. Well, everyone but Velma. Chris runs over confused about why her own sister would clearly frame her for this. Velma suggests she was jealous, which Terry confirms. She always did all the work bringing Chris's crazy designs to life, and never getting to build her own, all for her to never get her proper credit, or so much as a thank you. Chris says she never thought about it like that, but Terry says she never thinks, and that's why she was so easy to frame. The gang add that it was too easy, really, and that's what got her caught, as the wrench was actually too obvious, not to mention the green fur and hair.
Sort of a green herring?
Ooh, never go for green herring, man. It isn't fresh.
Velma adds that after Sam confirmed the sabotaged rides were still safe, somehow, this pointed her definitively to Terry, who was hoping to make sure no one really got hurt. But again, the only reason the gang are alive right now is cartoon physics. They should be mega dead. Anyway, after Chris would take the fall, Terry would then control the entire park herself and build whatever she wanted.
And I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Velma points out she did technically get away with it though. Nobody got hurt and they insist the rides were still safe, despite what we saw. So legally speaking, nothing she did was illegal.
Just rude.
Chris expresses her disappointment is so deep that she's telling their mom, making Terry disrobe and chase after her. Really, mommy being upset should be the least of her worries. If we were talking realism, she should still be arrested anyway and could optimistically face 15 years in prison according to the Scooby experts. Not to mention, the gang aren't turning her in, but her family, once mom is told, could still do that. She could still be in trouble even now. The short kid then comes up, disappointed he wasn't also a suspect and asking why.
You're too short to wear the costume.
Shaggy has good news though. His crazy new ride does not have the same limit, so he treats the kid to a ride with he and Scooby. Love the burger here, noting loudly that it's a soy burger. Remember, Casey Kasem quit voicing Shaggy starting with Zombie Island because they wouldn't make Shaggy vegan like him, and his return for this show was because they said, sure, what the hell, he can be vegan. So here we are having to specify this is in fact a soy burger and not cow meat represented on the ride. To be fair, it does look pretty fun to go on. It even has a crazy fake out where the tracks disappear and make them fly off, just for a parachute to land them safely on a big hot fudge sundae. And yes, it's real and they have to eat their way out. And that's Roller Coaster Ride. I don't know how much you might consider this one of the scariest villains, although I do think the design is pretty memorable. It has always stuck with me even though you could say it's simple. Regardless, you can definitely say this is one of the most dangerous. I don't care how much they insist the rides were still safe, they should have died around every turn. If you have a big fear of roller coasters like me, especially thanks to Final Destination, this is your worst nightmare. I can't imagine finally getting on one of these things, and then you look up and see a freaky ass gremlin loosening the bolts, and worse, you fly out of the tracks and into the air? Hell no! You get in the ball fall and fly up like that? Already, hell no. And then the wire snap and you fly into the air? Hell no. That element of realism has always made sure this one stuck with me. Likewise, the sisters also make this really memorable. It's like, you know it has to be one of them, and the element of two makes it stand out in your mind so much more. I do think it's interesting for Terry to be the one that did it, because you can argue it's both the bigger surprise as much as you can say it's the most obvious. After all, she's framing her sister, the evidence is not pointing at her, and she seems so sweet and perfect. While you would expect the edgy goth girl to have the kind of chip on your shoulder you need to be attempting murder. So it's subversive for the pretty and normal looking girl to be the demonic sister, but these days that's kind of the most obvious choice really. Either way, I love the episode still being subversive by also showing that girls can be designers and engineers of something fast and dangerous that guys like, and also Daphne becoming deeply obsessed with the rides after she gets that little push. The episode obviously pokes a little fun at red herrings, and it really does have a decent amount here. Not only what's going on with the sisters, but Sam is a really good candidate. Fred isn't that far off accusing him. It does make sense. I also love the kid who clearly has motive and tries to insist he's gonna do something. I mean, give him some stilts. We've seen short people pretend to be bigger villains before. You can also definitely tell this was still an early episode by the animation quality. It's constantly glitching out and full of noticeable errors. A lot of the animation is kind of blurry and out of focus. There are a lot of coloring issues. Even in full 1080p, sometimes it just feels low quality because it's early digital animation, and they were still figuring it out. But I actually do think it adds some charm to the show. The original series obviously had its fair share of animation issues. The only thing I would knock is that the original series has gorgeous and beautiful hand-painted backgrounds with so much detail, and I do feel like the backgrounds of this show sometimes are a little bit too simple. You can't knock the writing though. It's a really solid mystery and idea, and Dwayne McDuffie really nailed it. It's a shame it's the only thing he ever wrote for the franchise. I would have loved to see more episodes tackled by him, or maybe even one of the movies since he did some of the DC movie titles. There's not terribly much more for us to pick apart here though. I think we've gotten to the most important parts at some point already. This doesn't have to be the longest video in the world, it doesn't really call for it, so I'll let you go for now. I've covered a ton of other episodes of the show, and obviously just the franchise in general if you want more however. I just did the Hex Girls episode not too long ago, as well as the Valentine's Day episode, the Tokyo episode, tons of them. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and if you want to support the channel directly, the Patreon is now live. We have exclusive videos on Zombie Island, on Witch's Ghost, Clue Club episodes 2 and 3 with more to come, the Wheel of Scooby series, and all that. I suppose I will see you whenever it is that I see you from here. Bye!